It's been said that better questions lead us naturally to better answers, and that it's in not knowing that we open the doorway to knowing. I'm Scott Lennox, and you're listening to The Beautiful Question, a consideration of things that truly matter in a complex world. How often have you found yourself mentally or emotionally miles from home, and so fuzzy or jumbled or confused that you hardly knew what to think or feel? Brief and to the point, this week's newsletter is about taking the steps we need to come back to ourselves and to what is best for us. It's about listening to the wisdom within us and returning to our own authority, and then living from that place. Stay with me. For years, I've been aware that nothing takes it out of us more strongly than pain or grief or uncertainty, especially when they're ongoing and at a high level. When we're caught in them, it can be so easy to shut down and feel cut off from the world, from the people around us, and even from ourselves. When we're in that place, it's important to acknowledge what's happening and how we're feeling and what we're thinking. It's important that we give ourselves permission to go to the very depths of our experience if we need to do that. But we don't have to stay there. Isn't it good to know that built into every one of us is the ability to find our way home again and return to ourselves? This past weekend, I was sitting in a traffic light, and as I waited for the light to change, 6 monarch butterflies flew over the hood of my car, reminding me that it's October. The part of North Texas where I live is in the convergence of 4 of the major flight lanes for the monarchs as they carry out their 2,500-mile migration between Canada and Mexico. Many of them are headed to a place called Michoacan, where they gather in such great numbers that they weigh down the branches of the trees. Try to imagine just how many nearly weightless butterflies that would take. The tiny ganglion that constitutes the brain of the monarch butterfly is incredibly small, and yet it communicates with the insect's complex eyes and delicate wings so clearly and so intelligently that uncountable generations of them have successfully arrived in the same places year after year. In fact, it takes as many as 5 generations of them to make the trip south, and then another 5 generations or so to make it north again. How utterly amazing. And that same kind of miraculous imprint is built into each of us, not so that we can migrate across continents, but so that we can quietly return again and again to the stillness within ourselves and to re-engage with our own authenticity and our own well-being. But to accomplish that, we have to stop and tune in. In the same way that salmon and great herds of elk and migrating birds and butterflies know how to return to their breeding grounds, something encoded in us quietly knows how to return to what is essential when we allow ourselves to remove the obstacles. When we're hurting physically or emotionally, we can become temporarily trapped in self-defeating habits of thinking or behavior. When we do, instead of acting from the place of our innate wisdom or guidance, we put up roadblocks, often unconsciously, that keep us from what is best for us in the moment. Consider the 2 possible meanings to the phrase, "in my own way." One means to do something in a way that is uniquely our own, doing things in ways that we would naturally do them. The other, in my own way, means to block ourselves or to get in our own way, placing obstacles between ourselves and what we need or where we want to go. As you already know, one of the ways we block ourselves is with our thinking. We tell ourselves that we can't do this or that. We tell ourselves that we're not acceptable. We tell ourselves that we're too overwhelmed. We tell ourselves that we have to do things perfectly. We bow to the thinking and judgments of other people. We give in to our circumstances, and we stop looking for better options. Yet, As I mentioned a moment ago, we don't have to stay there. We liberate ourselves and we get out of our own way every time we return to our innate thinking. Every time we settle inside, if only for a few moments, we have the opportunity to quietly return to what we know to be our own authenticity and what we know to be best for us. An easy way to test that when you're feeling stuck is to quiet yourself for a moment and remember the things that you know to be true. Not what you think, but what you know. I go back over and over to 3 meaningful phrases. 1, the secret of healing is to remember and embrace that within us that never changes. 2, all healing is release from fear. And 3, when we are fully present, fear has no place in us. This week's beautiful questions focus right there. Here's the first one. What is it about you that never changes? The answer will have nothing to do with outer circumstances, but about your essence as a human being. The second question, what fearful thought or thoughts are you using to arrest yourself, to block yourself from moving forward? As you shine the light of your own humanity on them, you'll find your fear weakening, growing smaller, and evaporating. And the third question, what positive and healthy things have you already demonstrated by being fully present with yourself? You already know that presence is one of the most direct forms of compassion. You're worth whatever it takes to offer that to yourself right now. As you consider these 3 questions, I'd love to hear what happens. Write and tell me about it. As I say each week, my light with your light. Thank you once again for listening. I'm always inspired by our collaboration as we work and play together, building better lives and better possibilities for ourselves, for one another, for the world, and for our beautiful planet home. I look forward to your comments and to your feedback. I always do. You can be further inspired by visiting my good friends at Cosmos Journal. That's KOSMOS Journal. Their mission is to inform, inspire, and engage global transformation in harmony with all life. You can easily find them online at cosmosjournal.org. And as always, you can find my free podcasts and guided relaxation audios by searching for the beautiful question in Apple Podcasts or SoundCloud or CastBox, or by visiting the podcast page of my website at scottlennox.com. If you find them useful or encouraging, don't hesitate to share them. I'm Scott Lennox, and this has been The Beautiful Question. The Beautiful Question is a One Light production, written, recorded, produced, and funded by Scott Lennox at Heart Rock Studios in Fort Worth, Texas, as a way of paying forward to life, being fully present, becoming better engaged with things that truly matter in a complex world, and committing to a healthier future for all of us.